To teach or not to teach? That is the question. Hi friends, I'm the Saxophone Oracle. This week I'm going to answer another subscriber's question. So this one is an excellent question, and basically it's something like, do I need a teacher in order to learn saxophone, or can I do it all online using YouTube or books or online courses or other resources like that? So this is a fantastic question, and just to talk about the technology and information that's available to us now, it's astounding, it's mind-blowing, it's like a modern miracle. Anyone younger than me, they've grown up with it and they think, okay, whatever, it's like that. But anyone my age or older of that generation, it's just what we've witnessed is just unbelievable. It's mind-blowing what is available to us now. And especially in terms of helping us learn music, it's just incredible. A couple examples. I have a CD collection of probably over 1,000 CDs. They each cost me something from $15 to $25 at the time. It's like an enormous amount of money for 1,000 something CDs. And with that money, I could have bought 2 or 3 lifetime subscriptions to Spotify or Apple Music, where I would have the entire recorded catalog of music history at my fingertips, for that amount of money. I would have to go to the library if I was doing, reports for schools or wanted to learn about musicians. You have to go to the library, take out books, or I'd be consulting the liner notes of however many albums, and I didn't own them, so I'd go to the music library at school and take all the notes I could out of the liner notes. Things like transcribing music, right? Learning it from the recordings. I had compact discs, so that was great. You could get a pretty accurate rewind and fast forward function, but it was still listening to it and rewinding over and over again, writing it down. There was no way to slow music down. Now you have software that slows it down without any kind of loss of quality. You put it at whatever speed you want. It makes transcription effortless. There was a machine, I don't know if it came out in the 70s or 80s, but the only thing available was this Marantz cassette recorder, and you could order it by mail through the back of Downbeat magazine. I don't know if it was $200, $500, something like that. But I was already using CDs, so I'd have to transfer it back to cassette, and then you'd put the cassette in. The machine would make it half speed, but it would drop the octave. Everything sounded muddy. You couldn't hear the bass. I mean, forget about that. And the tenor saxophone, it sounded so low. It was almost worse than trying to do it at regular speed. And now it's effortless. It's unbelievable the amount of information. And with YouTube and the amount of saxophone YouTube channels out there and online courses and everything, ever in print is available on PDF. And for the most part, it's available for free. I mean, we should be paying for a lot of these things still, but I mean, let's face it, everyone's just taking it for free anyway. It's unbelievable. It's remarkable. I think about it often, just how lucky students are nowadays to have what they have. It's almost too much. It's almost a handicap. It's almost, you need to have less information in some ways, because it's just too much to sift through, and anyway, that's a whole different topic about superficial learning, because there's too much information. But all that to say, can you learn saxophone on your own with YouTube tutorials, books, things like that? Absolutely. And it's a fantastic option if you live somewhere remote, Nunavut, Alaska, I don't know, Belarus, or even in North America or in Europe, if you live in a small town where you don't, it's not a major North American city where saxophone players are just crawling up through the sewer grates. If it's hard for you to find someone, it's unbelievable what you can learn online. However, I should say, would I recommend this to anyone? Absolutely not. No, I don't think it's a good idea. I think all this stuff is amazing, and I think it should be used as supplemental information or other things you can explore, practice on your own time. But in no way should it replace a teacher, a one-on-one teacher-student relationship. It's so important. That's the way music has always been taught, and for good reason. It's an oral art form going back to Bach. It was always master and apprentice, mentor and apprentice relationship. That's what it is. It's a special skill that is passed down from one expert to another. And it's an oral art form, right? It's heard, and we learn from those who came before us, especially jazz music. Classical music, less so. It's a lot more written and theoretical and an ingrained way of teaching. But, you know, jazz music, popular music, the only way to really learn it is from someone more experienced than you and from learning from the recordings and from those people who came before you. So while, you know, it's a great resource, the internet, and it is possible to do things, or, you know, even the great jazz players. I mean, there weren't teachers around for saxophone back then, so a lot of them are self-taught. So it's possible, but it's not great. If you have a great teacher, it's gonna make your life so much easier. It's gonna make learning so much more enjoyable. It's gonna make things quicker, more expedient. It's just so much better in many ways. So let's talk about why. First of all, if you're having a problem or you're doing something incorrectly, a teacher is going to be able to diagnose it, you know, probably in the first 10 seconds as to what's going on. And they're going to show you what you're doing wrong. They're going to show you what you need to do to correct it. Now, it may take you some time, weeks, months, years, to get it, but at least you're on the right path and you're not continually making mistakes, right? I have, you know, this fantastic example. I have a very dear friend of mine who we grew up in school playing music together, and then he took many years off doing other things, and now he's seriously gotten back into saxophone. And he's done this basically during the pandemic, so it's basically impossible to get a face-to-face teacher, you know, and he had a pretty good foundation of everything, and he started putting in serious time practicing the horn, right? So he was playing, and then now he's gotten to a point where he's more advanced. And so now he came across this problem when we were talking over FaceTime, and he was like, well, I'm having a hard time with the palm keys, etc., and this, and I'm trying to do these arpeggios going up into the extended range. And I was like, okay, show me over the computer kind of what you're doing. And I was like, well, it looks like instead of holding the saxophone like this with a good hand position, he was kind of playing his upper stack like this. And then so it was impossible to reach the palm keys well, and he had to do all kinds of weird movement to get up. And he'd been practicing that way for well over a year, like many, many hours. So is it the end of the world? No. But now he's in the process of trying to correct that, and it's like a huge waste of time that he wouldn't have probably had to spend time doing if he had someone teaching him face to face. So, I mean, that's one example. Teachers can see when you're doing something wrong or a potential problem, stop it, correct it right away, and save you so much headaches. You know, another example, like there are tons of things that as beginners or amateur players we do and we have no concept or no idea. I've mentioned this before in other videos, but what you think you're playing or what you think is coming out of your horn is in no way what's actually coming out of your horn. It takes years to develop that ability to actually play and know what's actually coming out, play what you hear, and be able to give a fair judgment of knowing what it is, right? It's just, you know, there's a disconnect there. You think you're doing something right, and it's not coming out that way. You know, so having a good teacher to bounce that off of and correct you and point out things is super valuable. Like, I know when I used to take lessons, you know, I did everything that my teachers were showing me, but I was always trying to do other things and work on other things. And like, I would do things like I would take a song that was like way too hard, but I would secretly practice it on my own. And I just couldn't wait till I had it and I could show my teacher, or I could play it in some kind of concert or festival. And boy, wouldn't everyone be impressed, and what a great job you did, Oracle. You know, and sure enough, I would do something like that. And then when I finally got a chance to show it to my teacher after playing it for a year, I found out that I was playing the rhythm wrong for like an entire year, like a specific rhythm. And I ingrained it into my deep memory, into my muscle memory, right? And then so anytime coming across that rhythm going forward, high probability that I was going to play it wrong. Or, I had a band once and we learned a song together and we all learned it incorrectly together. We were like dropping 2 beats or adding 2 beats. It was unbelievable because we didn't have someone to say, wait a minute, I think you're doing it wrong, So a teacher is super important for that. And then there's other things like most beginning musicians. When you start playing louder, you start playing faster. When you start playing slower, when you decrescendo or get quieter, you start playing slowly and you drag. You have things like, you're playing a song coming along and all of a sudden you get to 16th notes and then, everything slows down. You think you've nailed it. You think you've got it worked out just fine, but in reality, you're probably playing those 16th notes even slower than the 8th notes that came before it. I mean, these are natural tendencies that we have. And if you don't have a teacher to check in with you, you're probably going to fall into these traps. And it might be a year, 2 years, 3 years until you start playing with other musicians or until you do find a teacher to finally realize, wow, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. Another common thing, triplets, right? Triplets, when we have, say, in one beat, you have 3 notes in that one beat and they all have an equal value. So dot, 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 triplet, blueberry, blueberry, however you want to subdivide it. But each of those notes have an equal value. And it's super common. Okay, I get it. There's 3 notes within one beat and you get this. Da da da, da da da, da da da. Or you get da 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 da. Either of which are not da 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 da. Right? We see this all the time. And I've seen it where people have been playing for like 3-4 years and they can't play a triplet, which is a super common, super basic rhythm. Yes, it's a little bit tricky. So a teacher's going to catch that. Then there's the other thing about, there's saxophone forums. They're fantastic places where we can meet other people, ask questions. But I see all the time in these forums, someone will post a question like, I've been playing for a year and now all of a sudden I'm getting a floofy sound. Well, what is that? And even if they put a video of themselves on their phone or something playing it, it's like, what is floofy? Or I've been playing and all of a sudden I can't play the high octave, it only goes down low, or vice versa, or this always squeaks, or I sound like a duck. And it's like, well, what is that? It's impossible to diagnose without hearing it. Like if I heard it right in front of me in 10 seconds, I could probably tell you what the problem is, or I could look over your horn, see if it's an issue there. But, it would be relatively simple. You throw that into a forum and it's like, it could be 50, 100 different things. It's impossible to diagnose. And then on top of that, you're getting answers from people who have probably the same amount of experience as you do. Right? And I guarantee you 99% of the time you're going to get 3 answers. It's either move up half a strength or down half a strength and read. Your horn is leaking, take it to a repair tech right away. Or it's your mouthpiece. I changed to a Yamaha 5C and then now I sound like David Sanborn. Now I'm problem solved. Well, guess what? 99.9% of the time, it is not that. It's not the reed strength. It's probably not a leak in your instrument. And it's certainly not your mouthpiece. I'll tell you what it probably is. It's probably poor air support, poor breath support, poor embouchure, poor technique, too much tension. It's probably one of those 4 things and probably a relatively quick fix to point out if you have a good teacher. So, if you don't have a good teacher, you're going to be constantly banging your head against the wall. You're going to be wasting time. You're going to waste energy. You're going to have so much frustration, So that's it. I mean, it's really important if you want to make the most out of this musical experience of learning this instrument, is to couple all that wonderful information available to us online with a great teacher. The best thing is if you can see someone once a week. If you can't afford or you can't manage once a week, once every 2 weeks. At the very minimum, once a month. If you really can't get to someone, at least try and do it over Skype or FaceTime or something like that, where at least you can get some back and forth interaction, where if you have a question, it can be answered, quickly, instantly. Skype, it's harder because you don't see, you can't, but it's so valuable to have a teacher. A teacher can play and demonstrate the specific thing you're having trouble with and play along with you, and you play it back and they can correct it, or you can play it together until you get it. It's so much better. Another point about online learning, like YouTube, there is so much good information out there, but it's general information. It is not specific to what your need is necessarily, and I'll use my channel as an example. In fact, I still don't know what my channel is going to be. I definitely know some things it's not going to be. But I post a wide range of stuff. Like some videos I might talk about tonguing, and that would be super beneficial to a beginner. And it's a general overview though. It's like if you have a specific tonguing issue you're having, the video is not going to address it. You might send me the question, I'll give you a response, but there's no back and forth, it's general. And then on my page, I'll post a video about the jazz standard you should learn in all 12 keys, right? And that's something that basically only extremely advanced or professional musicians are going to be able to use. Anyone else out there, it's 10, 15 years beyond what they're even thinking, or probably what their aspirations are ever in music anyway, right? So you have to sift through all of that on YouTube too. I mean, there's great information out there, but it's general, it's not specific to you, whereas a teacher can really hone in on the specific problems. So that's it. I could go on and on and on, but yeah, technology is amazing. If that's all you have, yes, you can learn how to play saxophone, but it's going to be so much more fun, so much more better. You're going to benefit so much more if you find yourself a great teacher. You can't replace that. There's nothing better than learning with a great teacher, one-on-one, master, apprentice. I'm the Saxophone Oracle. That's what I wanted to talk about this week. I hope you found the information useful, interesting, helpful. As always, if you have questions, please drop them in the comments below or shoot me an email. I would love to answer them in any future videos. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Help get this channel off the ground. That's it. Thank you as always for watching. I wish you a great week. Happy practicing. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.